If you're like me and you've been struggling to beat the boss and win the mythic in Fortnite Chapter 6 Season 1, then you clicked on the right video. Because in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to beat every boss, get every mythic in just a few easy steps. I promise you, once you watch this video all the way through, it is not going to be hard at all to get the boss and win the mythic, and this is just free victory royales from here. But without further ado, let's get right into the video. So actually, the first boss that we're going to be covering is the boss at Demon's Dojo, and I promise you, this is probably one of the easiest bosses on the map. So once you land, you want to loot up and make sure that there's nobody around. In this gameplay, I was actually a hot drop, so right now I'm just killing all the ghosts and making sure there's nobody around so I won't get third party when I try to fight the boss. So if you think you're gonna take a lot of damage when you fight this boss, which you shouldn't, but if you think you are, you can go ahead and kill the ghost that's around the area, so that way it can drop you minis and so you can heal up when you're fighting the boss. So when you first go in to fight the boss, once she gets unhooked from the demon, you want to just go ahead and knock her. She doesn't have that much HP, and as soon as you knock her, you want to aim straight for the demon's eyes. So immediately after you knock her, the boss is not going to attack you. There's going to be a little bit of a delay, but you can still be shooting the eyes while it's doing that. Honestly, it is better if you have an AR, but you can do it with an SMG, it's just fine. So once you do that a couple times, what I like to do is use the windows for cover, so that way you won't take that much damage. So if you're using the windows, when the demon shoots his fireballs at you, you won't take a lot of damage. It'll just end up hitting the window, and you can just play like that the whole time. But when you do this, you want to make sure you don't get third party and you don't get shot in your back. So once you do that about 4 or 5 times, it shouldn't take that long. The medallion and the SMG will drop. And honestly, this mask, medallion, and weapon is probably the best on the map in my opinion. The SMG could have a little bit more in the mag, but I get Fortnite wants it to be balanced, so it's just fine how it is. But the fire rate, the hit damage, and I really love the reticle on this gun. It's all amazing. You can really just get in people's box and just spray them with it. So that window strat does only work with that one boss, but there is another strat that works with all the other bosses on the map, and that is by using the Typhoon Blade. So what you're gonna notice in a lot of these other boss fights is that I am gonna be using the Typhoon Blade because it just works so effectively. But in my opinion, the other few bosses that are on the ground, they're not really worth fighting. And I say that because it is so easy to get third party and run out of mats and get caught lacking, and the reward really isn't that good. But if you do want to go for it, the best way of fighting it is with the Typhoon Blade. And obviously it is going to be a lot easier in duos than it is solos, but in solos it's really just the same thing. Make sure nobody's around so you don't get third partied, and then just try to get the fight over with as quick as possible. And then the other mythic that I want to talk about is the mythic AR, and that is going to be found on the train. This AR is an absolute laser, and I get that it's a really good AR. It is definitely the best AR that's in the game, but don't 50-50 for it. Off spawn, you should not just land directly on this train and try to 50-50 for it, because this chest takes forever to open. So my suggestion is that if you see the train and the chest isn't open, then sure, go for it, or just try to kill somebody that you know has the AR. But there's not too much to really explain for this mythic other than just don't 50-50 for it. And the last mythic boss that I finally want to talk about is the mythic boss that spawns on top of the island. Now this boss here, it moves around a lot, it has a lot of different attacks, but trust me, this boss is not that hard to defeat. So the same tips that I gave for all the rest of the bosses, moving behind cover, making sure you don't get third party, is the same thing that you want to apply to this boss right here. This boss attacks don't do too much damage, but you definitely don't want to get hit by them. And I mean, you shouldn't get hit by them because they're pretty easy to avoid. And obviously it's going to be easier in duo, trios, and squads, but in this clip my duo is really just being on the lookout and kind of helping me take picks at him while I do most of the damage. So you can see he teleports around a lot, he moves around a lot, but he really doesn't do that much damage, so I promise you he's not that hard to kill. And another tip, that if you are fighting any of these bosses in solo, really just wait till somebody else goes to try to kill the boss and then you third party. You would rather be the third party than getting third party. But I hope these tips did help you boys. I know this video was kind of short, but it's winter. I'm out. Peace.